What's up everyone? Welcome back to Quest Mode. The strategy genre has become one of the most crowded on Switch, and with the recent release of Fire Emblem 3 Houses, I thought it might be a great time to count down the top 10 strategy games available in the eShop. Now, these games are ranked based off of their METACRITIC score, so this is not my personal top 10, and as a result, there were definitely some games that surprised me. But if there's a game that I don't mention that you love, let me know which one in the comments, and with all that out of the way, let's get into it. I wanted to include Arena of Valor on this list because not only is it a good game, it's one of the few real-time strategy games amidst a sea of turn-based games on Switch. And it's also free to play. For those familiar with MOBAs, and more specifically League of Legends, you'll know exactly what to expect. You fight online as part of a team of 5 against another team of 5 as you both battle it out to gain ground on a map composed of 3 lanes. At either end of the map is the home base for each team, and the team that's first to topple the other team's home base wins the match. What makes each battle fun and different from the last is the varied roster of heroes you can choose from. Each has their own strengths, weaknesses, and abilities, and which hero you choose determines how you approach the map. As with any MOBA, the metagame can be pretty tough to learn, but once you do, it's supremely rewarding. WARGROOVE is the fantasy-themed spiritual successor to Advance Wars, one of the most beloved series of strategy games to ever grace consoles. In each turn-based battle, you must outwit opponents using your commander's special abilities, and by weighing the strengths and weaknesses of lesser units against those of enemy forces. Along the way, you'll seize control of the map by occupying villages that, in turn, provide the gold you need to summon more units. A uniquely engaging critical hit system adds additional depth to the already satisfying, if sometimes unforgiving, combat. Lastly, WARGROOVE provides a ton of value. For $20, you get the campaign plus an arcade mode where you have to complete 5 battles in a row, and a puzzle mode where you have to win pre-arranged battles in just 1 turn. Multiplayer is also fantastic, as is the map editor, which lets you create not just individual levels, but entire campaigns. Valkyria Chronicles is a classic within the strategy genre, and it's unique for several reasons. One is the fictional World War II setting, which is depicted through beautiful watercolor-like visuals. But most notable are the third-person mechanics. The game does provide a bird's-eye view of the battlefield that you'd expect from most turn-based strategy games, but you have to actually zoom in and take control of units in real time as you execute tactics. So to say, snipe an enemy soldier, you'll have to find a line of sight, and then you'll be the one to actually look through the scope and fire the shot. You aren't given total freedom, but that's part of the fun. The limited distance you can move during each turn means you have to carefully consider how to take out enemies and how to use the terrain to your advantage. The mature story is also very well told, and if you enjoy it enough, Valkyria Chronicles 4 is also on Switch, which was praised as a return to form for the series. The Banner Saga trilogy is part interactive storytelling experience, part turn-based strategy epic. You spend half the game following your army as they trudge across the Nordic-inspired landscape, and as you do, you'll make weighty decisions that have actual consequences on the characters. It's both tense and affecting. When you're not making life and death determinations, you're fighting to win isometric turn-based battles. Each match requires you to keep close track of stats in order to achieve victory, which will earn experience that you can then spend to level up your character, feed your army, and more. One important note is that you should absolutely start with Part 1 in the saga. The way the story unfolds makes Part 2 and 3, quite frankly, poor entry points, and seeing your surviving characters make it to the end is well worth the while. Also, as of this posting, the trilogy was available in physical form for $30, while the individual games were priced at $25 a piece. so definitely buy them all at once if you can. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is an XCOM-inspired romp through the Mushroom Kingdom that offers a ton of variety. You've got the Nintendo characters you love, plus their Rabbids counterparts, each with their own skill trees, and you've got a slew of primary and secondary weapons to equip. And you've got unique movement mechanics that help tackle the game's enemies and navigate its whimsical maps. You can bounce off allies, warp through pipes, use the environment as cover, and that's just the beginning. What's more, in classic Mario style, the game has an overworld that's broken into themed areas, each littered with puzzles and secrets. Finally, completionists should enjoy getting 3 stars in each level, which is achieved by winning within a set number of turns without suffering any casualties. If you want serious strategy cloaked in Nintendo charm, this is a must-play. After playing the hidden gem that is Cook, Serve, Delicious 2, I can say that it's more of a restaurant sim than a pure strategy game, but the lengthy campaign does require careful and strategic time management. The majority of the game has you cooking meals at an absolutely frantic pace. Each meal requires a specific series of button inputs, and when rush hour hits, you've got to carefully balance what to cook and when, along with which ingredients to prepare ahead of time. It's a bit stressful, but getting in the zone can make hours pass like minutes. You also have the larger goal of building your restaurant from the ground up, which includes buying equipment, formulating a menu, and more. It's not for everyone, and the difficulty can be overwhelming at first, but if you've ever watched Iron Chef and thought, hey, I could do that, then Cook, Serve, Delicious 2 might be for you. Plus, it's only $13. Slay the Spire is a deck-building strategy roguelite. At the outset, you select one of 3 unique characters, then gradually build your deck as you climb your way to the top of, you guessed it, a spire. As you ascend the map, you'll encounter new opponents and other unique challenges that present opportunities to improve your deck. Your first runs will likely beat you to a squishy pulp, but the game's battle and progression systems are intuitive enough to enjoy right away, while nuanced enough to keep you hooked and learning new strategies for dozens of hours. A huge part of the fun here is learning the enemies, then developing tactics that help anticipate their threats and lengthen your runs. If you're just not into deck builders, no biggie, there are plenty of other games on this list. But if you do like them, or if you've never played a card-based battle game, you'd be doing yourself a disservice not to check out Slay the Spire. If you like strategy games and you've somehow never played a Civilization game, you owe it to yourself to check out Civilization 6. The game starts by putting you in control of a fledgling civilization at the very dawn of technological advancement. We're talking huts and spears. From there, you compete with other tribes and eventually nations and empires to advance your civilization all the way to the present and into the future. The strategies you can use to achieve this are varied and include military brutality, diplomatic negotiation, scientific supremacy, or any combination thereof. There is a steep learning curve, especially if you haven't played a Civ game before, but once you get the hang of it, few games will have you saying just one more turn as many times as this one. Fire Emblem Three Houses is a monster of a game. First, you've got a deep and suspenseful combat system where each move feels consequential. You'll constantly weigh whether to execute a basic attack, perform a combat art, which is a new form of special move, or a squad-based gambit attack. And that's not to mention the ways that terrain affects combat or the countless other nuances you'll discover through the 60 to 70 hour campaign. The second, and arguably even more interesting part of Three Houses takes place in the fully explorable monastery where you take the role of a professor. It's here that you'll not only teach, bond with, and level up your fellow combatants, you'll also complete short quests and partake in a bevy of side activities. One final and massive bonus to Three Houses is that it features 3 different campaign arcs to choose from, each with their own story and set of characters. Into the Breach is another roguelite, and at first glance it might seem, well, a little too simple. Each level takes place on a small 8x8 map, and you've only got 5 turns to achieve victory. But you'll soon uncover incredibly deep and thoughtful combat dynamics, many of which flip the typical turn-based strategy formula on its head. For example, enemies broadcast their next move before they make it, giving you an opportunity to formulate strategies that might be lost in other games. Also, the multiple terrain types, from ice to desert to mountains, behave in unique ways, providing even more variety while constantly forcing you to improvise. When you're not in battle, the world map lets you choose multiple paths, and the game lets you upgrade your units in ways that make each run seem different from the last. I wish I could say more, but for now, I'll just say that this game has some serious hooks, and if they get you good. SteamWorld Heist immediately stands out thanks to turn-based battles that resemble old Western-style shootouts. But instead of cowboys robbing banks, you control a band of robot space pirates who rob procedurally generated spaceships. And like Valkyria Chronicles, SteamWorld Heist gives you far more control over individual units than most strategy games. To compensate for the fact that each map is made of twisting corridors that frequently block your line of sight, you can perform precision circus-style trick shots to shoot around corners. And yes, accuracy and headshots matter. Completing the experience is a progression system that lets you upgrade your character's special abilities, and an inventory management system that lets you tweak your loadout with loot you find in each heist. This game has tons of charm, and for just $20, it features the full game plus all the available DLC. So there you have it. Thank you so much for watching the entire video. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up, and check out some of my other Switch-related content. And if you want to see what games I'm playing or keep up with hidden gems that I find, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And if you never want to miss any of my videos, all it takes is clicking that subscribe button. Until soon, we'll see you next time.